today we're going to use a lot of video in this presentation, so I can't wait to see if it works. So we'll start with the first slide. So my name is Amber Rose Kandarian, and today we're going to talk about sexy knowledge and the catalyst on how sexy knowledge came to be. So the first thing I'm going to show you is a short documentary movie trailer from the first feature documentary I ever created called Respect the Doc. So it was a documentary about documentary filmmakers and how they can shift the culture. So I'm gonna show you kind of a rough cut. I'm going through, it's a timeline of a lot of different videos from a lot of different parts of the sexy knowledge movement to better explain what sexy knowledge really is. So the first video is actually called The Documentarian. That was the working title of the film Respect the Doc.
The video documentary can bring us so close to one another that we can feel on common ground with people that we never otherwise would have any opportunity to get to know.
Whenever I get in a car and drive anywhere, especially along the highways, and you see all the quiet towns along the way, and sometimes you'll see houses right along the highway. Every time I see a house along the highway, I always stop and say to myself, there's a story in every one of those houses.
The things that you see on the street, the people that you meet are more fantastic than I think you could possibly ever come up with if you were writing some kind of narrative film. It's an adventure. You go out there with a camera, you hit the streets, and you see what happens, and it's just a great way to discover the world.
Okay, so this was a clip from the first feature documentary I ever created called Respect the Doc. It had a working title of The Documentarian. And basically, this was the beginning of the sexy knowledge movement. So when I was going to school, all the instructors taught to me, and it was like an auditory way of learning. So they would give a lecture, I would sit there, all the knowledge would go over my head. I didn't understand any of it because I was a visual learner and I was kinesthetic. So I needed to see knowledge or experience knowledge. And that's kind of what led me into documentary filmmaking. It was a way to understand information and knowledge by creating stories kinesthetically through the art of documentary filmmaking and then showing it to the world in 2-minute documentaries or 3-minute documentaries. So the sexy knowledge movement is really all about helping other people, and especially like the next generation, to really find that knowledge is sexy, because in the documentary format, it's a lot easier to understand knowledge because it's sexy, it's beautiful, and 65% of the population are actually visual learners. So the issue with that is in schools, there's a lot of creative kids like myself who thought they were stupid growing up in school because knowledge wasn't shown in a visual way, and there definitely wasn't kinesthetic ways in many schools on how to understand how you understand information and knowledge. So the path that the documentary world led me down was a lot of different things. It was DJing, it was filming on yachts, and it was working on yachts. And actually, the sexy knowledge movement was funded by working on luxury yachts. So I actually worked with a lot of different people on yachts to understand how businesses worked, and also how to make knowledge sexy. So this is gonna be this is the delivery. So this is a documentary that we did delivering yachts. So I just want you guys to watch this.
Pick up boats.
Can I put the volume up a little bit?
Boaters in general who want their boats delivered from point A to point B.
Oh, shit.
No, I'm never all right. So the boat arrived here on Thursday last, I think it was?
Yeah, let's see.
Stuff like that to unpack. and stow it while we're here. Here's our extra dock lines, Mexican flag, and that way we can throw away some of these boxes. Looks big sitting out of the water, but once it gets in the water, you're gonna look at it and go, geez, we're gonna take that all the way to Mexico? Should be in the water in 30 minutes. This is the vessel's first taste of salt water. Boat has 400, and then I'm having a bladder on it with another 200. You know the only time you have too much fuel on a boat? When it's on fire. Well, I heard a story about this boat was seized by the U.S. Customs and Drug Enforcement Agency because it was a drug runner. You come over here, look at these outboard motors. These engines were taken out by a Coast Guard hit and run team out of a helicopter shooting 50 caliber rifle rounds into the outboard engine to disable it. You see the 5-shot grouping there. This guy was really, really good. Shooting from a moving helicopter, chasing a moving boat. Okay, see this?
Yeah.
Okay, here comes the really hard part. Ready? Look at that.
There you go.
Does that look fancy? I've been drunk at night and walk up and down docks and done everybody's like that in the morning. How did he do that?
Yeah, it's taking off today.
Oh, is that for us?
It's for a picture.
Oh, there's a telephone. That's probably my boss. We're fueling here at the Tarpon Point Marina. Excuse me while I talk to the boss. Acme Rent-A-Captain, you buy them, we break them. All right, so we just put 200 gallons up here. It's about 1,700 pounds worth of fuel. Or think of this like 6 big fat guys up on the front deck drinking beer. So, I think we're gonna be okay. We're going to Mexico! Feliz Navidad! Shake it down! What? We're headed to Key West. We got out of there late, so we're gonna get in there late. Get her tied up. We have a little autopilot that we have to fix. No.
Let me help you unscrew it.
We'll take a look at the weather. What I'm looking here is wind arrows and wave heights in relationship to this graph. Load up with fuel and nothing but problems. Fuck it. Thank you. Push off for Mexico.
So basically, this was where the catalyst happened to where we invented sexy knowledge. So we were delivering a yacht with Captain John Wampler, and you had to see this character because these are the kind of things that we encounter every day making documentary films. And we were delivering a yacht to Belize, and I had this idea of, what if we were to translate some of the complicated information from universities, the thesis, and turn it into a 2-minute documentary movie trailer? And we basically called it a docu-thesis. And I was delivering this yacht, and I was out in the ocean, just like you saw, with Captain Wampler and the owner of the vessel. And I told them about the idea, and they told us it was a great idea. And the next day, the port engine ended up blowing up. We got caught in a storm. We barely made it into Costa Rica, and everybody had to go back to the home port. And so that was like the catalyst, the sign that we need to start embarking on the sexy knowledge movement, which is, the beginning of it was to create the docu-thesis. So I'm gonna show you a video. Again, this is all of like our early work. So, you know, feel free to laugh at how dramatic the music is and things like that. But this was the docu-thesis. So we did this right after the boat got back to Costa Rica. If you're interested in giving a voice to the researcher, a perfect tool is DOCUthesis. DOCUthesis is essentially a hybrid between a documentary and research thesis.
The way I describe the docu-thesis is that it's translation. You're taking academic work, either by students or by professors, may be difficult to understand on paper, put it in visual and express it through narrative and stories.
In the research we've been doing, we've found that kids are much more responsive to rewards than they are to punishments.
They really produce a wonderful product.
It's trying to figure out how to speak to a variety of audiences.
That's creative, that's artistic.
You want to read about the research or invest in the research or learn more about it.
The academic integrity and the educational mission represented in a way that was compelling, and at the same time,
Everybody can understand the impact and why it's important.
what we do matters both in the short and long term for societies at every level.
The options are limitless on the impact that our research is having in the community.
Drug-free, ready, easy to use.
Finding the words and images.
Anyway, so you get the point. So we'll fast forward a little bit. So DocuThesis was founded. We started making these short 2-minute documentary movie trailers to translate some of the most complicated information into really cool, sexy, short 2-minute documentaries. You saw a couple samples in the video. And the whole company was founded in Southern California, and we got kind of bored on the weekends. So we would actually go hang out at the airport, like the private jet airports, and we would hitchhike on jets. So we started in academia, translating all this complicated knowledge and research into 2-minute documentaries, and then we decided to also go into the business sector, the corporate side, and the nonprofit side by hanging out at these airports and meeting people like the founder of Fry's Electronics and just hitchhiking on jets. So that's kind of like the journey that the Sexy Knowledge movement has taken. And this is a sample that we did with DOCUinc, a private jet company, and Scorpio from Grandmaster Flash.
My name is Scorpio. I'm from a rock and roll Grammy Hall of Fame group called Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5, straight out of the Bronx. The inventors, creators of the culture called hip hop. When you fly to a jet, they know who you are, they know a little bit about your music. It's almost an extension of how you would be in your living room. It's that personal thing that you really feel that you can be you. That's what's great about Aerojet, because it's beyond just the experience of flying the jet. It's building the relation. Most companies, you can't even talk to the CEO. Who you kidding? When you're dealing with a lot of them other companies, you gotta deal with the charter brokers. You gotta go through this man, the middleman, the middleman, the middleman. And with Airjet, you're dealing directly with the CEO. So you're gonna save yourself $8,000 and $9,000 a trip. And I'm talking to some of the artists right now that might be hot. Like your record might be #1 on the chart, in the top 10. So that means what? More shows, more shows, more shows. And a lot of times, you know, with commercial, you'll lose money because you can't get to this one show in California and have to be back on the East Coast in a couple of hours. With a jet, the limo waiting going straight to the Clearport and you right off. So now it's even an investment in your future because now you can do 2 or 3 shows versus 1 show. You'll be surprised how a relationship and how long that will go, and it'll save money, and that's the name of the game. I can't make mistakes of picking the wrong product in the sky. You know what I mean? It's a great product, it's a good product, and that's the reason why I'm behind it.
So this is Sexy Knowledge, right? Like who would, I mean, I know you guys have this problem, right? You know, what kind of private jet do you guys want to take home? But you know, this is Sexy Knowledge, right? It's taking these really bizarre situations and stories and putting them together in a documentary to tell a story. This next one, I think, is a little bit, that was kind of funny because we were just like, man, you know, Scorpio Grandmaster Flash with a jet company, like this is gonna be so interesting. And it ended up being a really interesting Sexy Knowledge video, but I think this one really is like the final prototype of what Sexy Knowledge really is.
I'm Kandarian, and I'm 11 years old.
years old, and I just qualified for X Games on Mega Ram.
He's like the youngest kids to compete the X Games.
The first time I did the Mega, it was a scary feeling. The first time I dropped in, and the first time I went over the Mega, it was the best feeling ever.
So when you go down the gap, it's 90 feet, so you just feel like you're just like waiting, okay, then go. And then the gap, you're in the air for like 5 seconds. And then the quarter, you're in the air for 5 seconds. So it feels like, pretty much feels like you're bouncing on the trampoline really, really high.
Does the music help me skate? Yeah, I think it does. I like listening to hip hop, rap, because that's like what pumps me up.
Even when I'm just like skating on the street, I'll put in my headphones and I'll just listen to music.
What's good about these ice board headphones is they have this little bud right here that can like wrap around in your ear, and you can like shake your head, bounce on trampoline, do backflips, anything you want, and they will never fall out. I guarantee you.
So this is basically sexy knowledge. So the idea is to create advertising that inspires the next generation with real stories, and not necessarily selling a product hard, but telling a story, enlightening the audience, and inspiring the next generation to think differently about what they're doing while educating about a product. And in closing, just want to say thank you. And the Sexy Knowledge movement will continue. We're continuing to do short documentaries to help the next generation find knowledge sexy and cool, as opposed to ignorance being sexy. So thank you so much, and have a great night.